Ladies and gentlemen, friends and curious minds, let me begin by posing a simple but unsettling question. Why is it that Indian immigrants in America so often out-earn, out-innovate, and outperform not only other immigrant groups, but even many native-born Americans? This is not about luck. It's not about being in the right place at the right time. It's not some fluke or miracle. There are real, concrete forces at play here, forces rooted in culture, in mindset, in strategic choices, that turn the journey of migration into a rocket launch of success. Tonight, or today, I want to take you beneath the surface of the headlines and stereotypes. I want you to see the engine, the hidden mechanics, the often overlooked truths behind a phenomenon we all observe but rarely fully understand. When we talk about why Indian immigrants in America rise so quickly and accumulate so much wealth, the first and perhaps most crucial factor is education. It is not an exaggeration to say that education acts as the passport to prosperity for many Indian families. For decades, there has been an almost sacred emphasis placed on learning, discipline, and intellectual achievement within Indian households. It is not just about acquiring degrees, it is about using education as a tool for transformation. Parents in India often see their children's academic success as a family mission, and when those children migrate to the United States, they carry that same mindset with them. This foundation of human capital becomes the driving force that opens doors to some of the highest paying and most prestigious professions in the American economy. Consider the numbers. More than 3/4 of Indian immigrants in the US hold at least a bachelor's degree, a staggering figure compared to the average among all immigrants, and even higher than native-born Americans. This disproportionate level of achievement is no accident. It stems from decades of cultural conditioning that prioritizes education as the ultimate equalizer. Indian students often arrive in America already well prepared in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which are precisely the areas that dominate the global economy and command high salaries. Whether it's computer science, medical research, or advanced engineering, Indians are disproportionately present at the cutting edge. But education is not simply about degrees, it's about mindset. A well-educated person develops problem-solving skills, adaptability, and resilience. These qualities are invaluable in a competitive environment like the United States. When Indian immigrants secure spots at institutions like MIT, Stanford, or Harvard, they are not just collecting certificates. They are gaining access to elite networks, high-level mentorship, and global opportunities. Once they step into the workforce, their qualifications make them attractive candidates for roles in technology, medicine, finance, and academia, which are industries that consistently rank among the most lucrative. Human capital goes beyond academics. It also includes language proficiency, professional skills, and the ability to adapt to different cultural settings. English has long been a second language in India, meaning that many immigrants arrive in America already fluent and ready to compete in professional environments. This linguistic advantage eliminates one of the biggest barriers other immigrant groups often face. Communication skills combined with technical expertise make Indian professionals highly effective in the American job market. The intergenerational element of education also plays a vital role. Many Indian immigrants push their children to maintain or even surpass the family's tradition of academic excellence. This creates a cycle of upward mobility, where one generation builds a platform and the next generation climbs even higher. It is common to see families where parents are engineers or doctors, and their children move into leadership roles in business, politics, or entrepreneurship. The discipline of one generation becomes the wealth of the next. Ultimately, education and human capital explain not just why Indian immigrants do well, but why they often thrive at an extraordinary level. They arrive with a strategy embedded in their culture, invest heavily in knowledge, use it as a springboard into high-paying fields, and let that expertise multiply into wealth, stability, and influence. One of the most striking features of Indian immigrants in America is their tendency to not just work within existing structures, but to build entirely new ones. This entrepreneurial mindset, combined with a willingness to take calculated risks, has been a defining feature of their journey to wealth and influence in the United States. While many immigrants seek security in stable jobs, a significant portion of Indians channel their skills and knowledge into starting businesses, entering competitive industries, and carving out opportunities that others might overlook. This approach is not about reckless risk-taking, it is about recognizing high-growth sectors, aligning personal strengths with market demands, and pursuing ventures that can generate exponential returns. Take, for instance, the dominance of Indian entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. Many of the leading start-ups and tech giants have Indian founders, CEOs, or executives at the helm. These are individuals who looked at the American tech landscape not just as employees, but as innovators who could disrupt industries. From Sundar Pichai at Google to Satya Nadella at Microsoft and countless start-up founders, the presence of Indian talent in leadership is no coincidence. Their ability to identify emerging technologies, invest early, and scale effectively has created a reputation for Indians as some of the sharpest minds in the global innovation economy. Data consistently shows that Indian entrepreneurs in the US report higher average incomes and greater business success compared to both native-born and other immigrant groups. This entrepreneurial edge is also about the types of industries they choose to enter. Instead of relying on sectors with limited scalability, Indian immigrants often pursue fields like technology, medicine, engineering, and finance, industries where growth potential is enormous and innovation is rewarded. They are not afraid to compete in areas where the stakes are high because they recognize that the returns are equally high. For example, a corner shop or small restaurant may provide a decent living, but launching a software company or entering the pharmaceutical industry can transform an entire family's trajectory for generations. This deliberate choice of sectors amplifies the wealth-building effect of their efforts. Risk-taking in this context is calculated rather than blind. Indian immigrants often prepare extensively before stepping into entrepreneurship, building strong educational foundations, gaining experience in corporate America, and then branching out when they see an opening. This preparation reduces the risks while maximizing the chances of success. Many also rely on tight-knit community networks for investment, mentorship, and customer bases, which provides additional safety nets that allow for bolder moves. Another dimension of this entrepreneurial spirit is adaptability. Indian immigrants often bring with them an ability to navigate uncertainty, shaped by growing up in a diverse and competitive environment back home. That adaptability translates well in America's fast-changing economy, where industries can shift rapidly, and only those willing to pivot quickly can survive. For many, failure is not seen as an end but as a lesson, a stepping stone toward the next venture. Ultimately, the entrepreneurial mindset of Indian immigrants is a blend of cultural drive, strategic thinking, and resilience. They see opportunities where others see barriers, they take risks that are informed rather than impulsive, and they deliberately enter industries that promise scale and influence. This combination has made them some of the most successful business leaders and innovators in America today, reinforcing the idea that true wealth is rarely built by playing it safe. When examining the extraordinary success of Indian immigrants in America, one cannot ignore the central role of strong family structures, cultural discipline, and social pressures that shape both individual and collective outcomes. Unlike many cultures where personal freedom often outweighs family responsibility, Indian communities tend to view the family as the primary unit of strength and survival. This mindset travels with immigrants when they move abroad and becomes a powerful anchor in navigating the uncertainties of a new country. The idea of working not just for oneself, but for the family as a whole, creates a sense of accountability and resilience that often translates into higher achievement and financial security. Marriage and family stability, for instance, remain significantly stronger among Indian immigrants compared to national averages in the United States. Divorce rates are lower, and multi-generational households are more common. This stability reduces social and emotional fragmentation, which in turn allows individuals to focus more intently on education, careers, and entrepreneurship. A young Indian professional knows that his or her success is not just a personal milestone, but a responsibility to uphold the reputation and expectations of the family. This pressure can be demanding, but it is also a tremendous motivating force that drives people to push harder, aim higher, and persevere longer than many of their peers. Discipline is another defining characteristic. From early childhood, many Indians are taught the value of hard work, delayed gratification, and respect for authority. These principles may sound old-fashioned in an era that glorifies individualism, but they pay immense dividends in competitive environments like the US workplace. An immigrant who arrives with a strong work ethic and the willingness to endure challenges is far better equipped to climb corporate ladders or sustain the grueling hours required to build a business. This cultural discipline, often instilled by parents and reinforced by community expectations, becomes second nature and gives Indian immigrants a formidable advantage. Social pressures, while sometimes criticized for being intense, also play a role in creating success stories. Many Indian families set extremely high expectations for their children, often steering them toward professions such as medicine, engineering, law, or technology. While this can feel limiting for some, it also ensures that a large proportion of Indian immigrants channel their energies into high-paying, high-status careers that secure financial success. The cultural notion of not letting the family down can weigh heavily, but it is also a force that drives many young immigrants to excel in ways that might not have been possible without such expectations. Community networks amplify this family-first mentality. Indian immigrants tend to form strong community organizations, religious groups, and cultural associations that act as support systems in a foreign land. These networks provide mentorship, funding opportunities, and social reinforcement, making the path to success less lonely and less risky. They also create a sense of shared identity, reminding individuals that they are part of something larger than themselves. Altogether, the combination of family strength, cultural discipline, and social pressures creates an environment where success is not optional but expected. It builds individuals who are resilient under pressure, willing to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term gains, and motivated to reach levels of achievement that benefit not just themselves but their families and communities as well. This collective approach to progress has been one of the defining forces behind the wealth and influence of Indian immigrants in America. One of the most overlooked yet decisive factors in the success of Indian immigrants in America is their ability to operate seamlessly between two worlds and harness the advantages of both. Unlike many immigrant groups who often sever ties with their homeland upon settling abroad, Indians frequently maintain strong personal, professional, and cultural connections to India while building new networks in the United States. This duality creates a unique bridge that multiplies opportunities, enhances resilience, and allows Indian immigrants to tap into resources that others simply cannot access. In the professional sphere, this bridge is especially powerful. Indian immigrants often enter industries like information technology, pharmaceuticals, engineering, and finance, sectors where India has a robust talent base and America has a high demand for skilled labor. By keeping connections alive in India, immigrants can collaborate with peers, outsource efficiently, or even launch businesses that straddle both economies. For example, many Indian-owned companies in the US rely on teams in India for back-end support, research, and development, which not only cuts costs but also creates a pipeline of continuous innovation. This ability to build transnational businesses has given Indian entrepreneurs a competitive advantage, enabling them to scale faster and more efficiently than competitors confined to one market. The network advantage also extends into personal and community relationships. Indian immigrants tend to build and nurture tight, knit communities wherever they settle. Temples, cultural associations, alumni groups, and professional organizations serve as hubs of trust and collaboration. These networks become incubators for mentorship, investment, and referrals. A young immigrant entering the US job market often benefits from introductions or guidance provided by someone from the same community who has already navigated that path. This collective support not only reduces the risks of failure but also accelerates upward mobility. The power of these networks means that success is rarely achieved in isolation. It is amplified by a community that sees one person's victory as a shared accomplishment. Beyond professional and community circles, the global advantage of Indian immigrants also stems from cultural fluency. Having grown up in one of the most diverse societies in the world, Indians arrive in America already accustomed to navigating differences in language, religion, and culture. This makes them highly adaptable in multicultural environments, an invaluable skill in globalized industries. Their ability to bridge cultural gaps allows them to work effectively with colleagues, clients, and partners from diverse backgrounds, giving them an edge in leadership and international collaboration. Even in the political and academic arenas, the bridge between India and America has paid dividends. Indian origin leaders, scholars, and policymakers often use their dual perspective to shape conversations on global trade, technology, and diplomacy. Their insight into both countries' systems allows them to act as mediators and innovators, further expanding the influence of the Indian immigrant community. This dual network effect is not limited to economics or politics, it extends into personal identity as well. Many Indian immigrants instill in their children the ability to embrace both Indian values and American opportunities, creating a new generation that is culturally versatile, globally minded, and positioned to succeed in an interconnected world. This intergenerational advantage ensures that the community's success is not a one-time phenomenon, but a sustained trajectory of influence and prosperity. The capacity to bridge two worlds, to pull resources from both, and to thrive in the space between is a unique asset. It is a story not just of adaptation, but of amplification, where the immigrant identity becomes a superpower rather than a setback. This global advantage, more than anything else, explains why Indian immigrants in America continue to rise as some of the most successful and influential people in the country. So let me be blunt, this story is not about some exotic Indian magic or a travesty of luck. It's about real ingredients stacked in favor of those who have the vision, the tenacity, and the strategy to use them. It's about people who refuse to settle, people who push through barriers, break ceilings, cross borders, not just in geography, but in ambition itself. If you ask me, is this replicable? Absolutely. The lessons are there. Invest in education smartly, be deliberate in your choices, build strong support systems, cultivate networks across boundaries. Don't mimic passively, adapt and evolve. To those watching, never let the story of others intimidate you. Let it inspire you. Because here is the core truth: greatness is seldom accidental. It is intentional. It is engineered, and if we understand those mechanics, we can all build a future where our names are not footnotes, but major players. Thank you. Let's turn the question around now. What will you do with the opportunity you have?